Hey, and welcome to the podcast. My name, you know what? I just realized something. What's your last name? Welcome to the I Hate Social Media podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the chaotic world of social media marketing with a twist of irony and a dash of humor. So whether you love or hate social media, join us on this journey as we uncover the secrets to making it work for you. Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Micah Derling, your host, with my friend Alexa Freyman. So I literally just had to ask her last name again. So full disclosure, I suck.
No.
All right, so I'm really excited to have you on, and there's a couple reasons for that. One is because I feel like people could come to the conclusion that this is just a business-oriented podcast, and it is. I mean, it's like 80% that. But I want to have people on from different perspectives. It's not about business, because it's really about social media. And the joke behind I hate social media is that sometimes it's frustrating for business owners to not know how to engage social media, and it becomes like the big bad in your life. And so what I want people to see is that social media can also be a tool for pretty amazing stuff. And it can be a great place to not just learn learn new things, but it's where somebody like you as a content creator can really create something that people can enjoy, learn from, and that it's actually a space for growth, really. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit about your account. Like what do you do? What is it? What's it called? Tell me everything.
It's a lot of things. It's called Berks Nostalgia. I created it in 2017. I
move this a little closer to you.
I always kind of had an appreciation for local history.
Okay.
So it kind of manifested in this account where I would, post old newspaper articles that I found that I thought were interesting, and pictures, and people seemed to really gravitate towards that. So that's how it started. I really dove in during COVID because obviously we had a lot of time in our hands. We were at home. And that's when I went pretty hard and started researching and writing full scale articles and putting videos together from those articles, and creating content on a regular basis. So. Oh man.
Okay. And so if people wanted to find you, they can.
Yeah.
And it's all Instagram, right? You don't do.
Oh no, I'm on Facebook, Berks Nostalgia, Instagram.
Okay.
YouTube, TikTok, and then I have my website, berksnostalgia.com.
Okay. And one wants to know, where do you find the time to do all of those things?
I don't know. Well, no, the content is consistently the same across each. So if I post a reel to Facebook, it's also going on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, it's the same for our podcast, right? Right. I record it, I throw it up on Podbean and YouTube, but then it goes out to all the places. It's the only way to make it work.
And even from a bigger video, you can cut it up and create content from it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, reels and all that stuff. We will be doing that more and more. So yeah. All right. So how do you, when it comes to, this is all Berks County, right? So it's very specific, which I love. Okay. I mean, maybe it seems obvious, but why Berks County?
Well, I live there.
Okay.
I was born and raised there. I moved away for college and a few years after college, but ultimately decided to get married and raise my family there. So I came back and I'm there. So.
Well, so that makes, okay. So what is the space you're filling? I feel like you started researching and doing these things, but what were you after personally? What drove you to do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's a hobby, essentially. Yeah, it's my fun time, really, is looking into these historical events or places or people and kind of profiling them. That's fun for me. I guess that makes me a little odd, but...
No, I think it's great. Yeah. Obviously, other people agree. They're happy to let you do it and just to learn from what you've discovered.
Right. And to me, there's all sorts of historical societies around. No shade there, they do great things. They have great collections, but they've not necessarily, come into the digital age in a way that, people can engage with.
That's right.
So that's the kind of hole I think I'm filling.
Well said. I think that's exactly right. I think that they do have a lot of material and a lot of great information. It's just that people aren't, they're not finding it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is that's a direct parallel to a lot of businesses. There are a lot of small business owners that start up, they have their shop or they have their business. But if people don't know you exist, that's why you have to have a website. That's why you have to be on social media. It's not necessarily about having some, knockout marketing program. people won't find you if they
Right.
can't see you.
Yeah.
And the same is true, I think, for a lot of historical stuff in Berks County and the surrounding area. It's just people want that information. They enjoy it. It's just if you don't know where to find it or, life's busy, this is
Yeah.
a nice consumable
Right. You don't have to
thing.
go into the, historical the library and go
Right.
research yourself. I mean, there's so many, and we'll get into this when you talk about how I, come across my content, but there's so many historical ways to, resources available, newspaper archives, stuff like that, that you don't even have to leave your house.
Well, no, that's actually a great. Let's do it. I mean, let's get into that. So, when it comes to either a location or a person or whatever it is that you have, you wanna, because I mean this is a passion thing, right? So
Yeah.
you find it, you start researching it, and that probably is even more satisfying than the actual social media side. It's the doing.
Yeah.
How do you find subject matter?
It depends. A lot of the stuff that I cover are things that I see on a day-to-day basis when I'm driving around. Like one example, this past week I posted about a building that's right on Lancaster Ave in Shillington. It was built in 1911. It was built as a hotel. Eventually was turned into a bank and apartments and has been sitting condemned for the past 3 years and just is not in good shape. And bringing kind of awareness to that like, nothing's happening, like let's get some development going here and
Right.
stuff like that. So the cool thing is I can, with my drone, take a picture of this building, a nice picture. I can post it, I can give you the history of it, and I can also tell you what's going on with it now, which is the important part, right? Because now,
DJI Mini, is that what you?
no, I have a Air 2S.
That's a great drone, just so you
Yeah,
know.
I love
It's
it,
got a
yeah.
nice camera on
It's
it.
beautiful,
I
yep.
think it's like a Hasselblad camera, and yeah, that's great. That's cool. I actually had that before the one I have now, but I crashed that one, so
Oh, no.
it was like an opportunity to upgrade, so I did.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's a great drone.
Yeah.
Man, no, that's right, and I think that it's. I'm going to say this because you probably wouldn't say it about yourself. I think what you're doing is actually a service to Berks County.
Right.
Because people want awareness. They
Yeah.
just don't always know where to go to become aware. And like you said, there's all these really cool spaces that have a lot of history to them. Man, a place that was a hotel,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was turned into a bank
Yeah.
and then an apartment. I mean, that is the coolest thing. And there's going to be somebody, hopefully, right, in Berks County that's going to see that and just go, I want to make that something again.
I hope so. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
and then everybody, in the comments will contribute. Like some guy posted a picture of when it was a hotel, there was a bar on the main floor and it was like an old timey Western look. Yeah. I mean, it's just people have stuff to contribute. I'm not obviously the, only sole person into history in Berks County. I want to hear what everybody has to say
Yeah,
and what
that's
everybody
right.
can contribute.
that's
And
right.
it's wonderful. So
That's cool because that means you do a lot of research and then somebody's filling it out with sometimes media and
Yeah.
things like that you didn't see.
of course, yeah. I mean, I can't possibly, see everything people have photos from like family, generational,
Yeah.
and those never come to the light of day unless there's a reason to. So
That's
hopefully-
right. That's interesting. That is super interesting because it means they're just hiding and somebody sees your article and says, I have a photo of that.
Yeah.
And then boom, next
Yeah.
thing you're communicating about that. And that's okay. That is probably one of the more exciting pieces of that is how things kind of just develop into their own thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's very cool. Do you have, currently, do you have a favorite of all the things that you've done so far? Is there a building or a subject that for you is like, man, that was probably the coolest or at least one of the top things I've done?
Yeah, I mean, I love pretty much everything because I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
No, that's
but
right.
the thing that sticks out is last fall was I don't know if you guys heard about the Stone Man Willie stuff.
No.
So
We'll provide a link to it.
okay, yeah, no, it's its own thing. But basically, long story short, there was a funeral home in Reading on Penn Street. I think it was the 200 block, Almonds. Theodore Almond was alive from the late 1800s to early 1900s. He was a funeral director. He was a pioneer embalmer.
Wow.
It's a little morbid. But a guy died in prison. We didn't know his identification, so he practiced his embalming on him and kept the dude for 100 and the funeral home kept the guy for 128 years. So they finally buried him last fall. But it's been this big mystery for over 100 years. This was huge. I don't know if I can't. Well, I mean, you guys are down here. But,
Down here, yeah. I live in a bubble.
well, like New York Times covered it. I was in the New York Times from this.
Not in a bubble. I live under a rock. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's still strange, but
No, I'm going to check this out, and so are you. That's incredible.
oh, it got national coverage. Yeah, it
man.
was international coverage.
I'm excited
actually.
about that.
So when they announced that they were burying him in April, I was like, okay, I got to cover this, right? Like,
Yeah.
this may be the craziest thing. So I did. I dove in. I not only wrote, I looked at newspaper articles, everything I could find on this guy. And then I went to the History Center again. I actually did visit the library for once.
But you see that? Okay, I know that's true, and I'm not saying that it's bad that most people won't.
Yeah. Oh no. 100%.
I'm not.
I
My
know.
daughter does. But
Usually I don't. But for this, I felt, okay, what do we have?
yeah.
And I found this file that was from a scientific study done on the guy like 20 years ago.
That is
Nobody knew
awesome.
about it. It was never reported in our newspapers. Like, I was just
That's
shocked
exciting.
that nobody had broken this. And so I wrote all about it. It was a huge thing. And then I had like the New York Times contacting me. And it was all over.
Your husband's
every
like, so
outlet.
what'd you do today? I just talked to the New York
It
Times.
was nuts. It was a nuts week. The week leading up to it is when really the frenzy was. And I mean, that obviously, just for that reason, stands out.
Okay. All right. That was a good pick. All right.
I have nothing comparable to it. I mean, and nothing that exciting will ever probably happen again. But
I want to know how that conversation went. So I'd like to embalm you. And the guy's like, I don't even know what that is. Sure.
well, I don't think they had the conversation before he died. He
Right.
got sick and died in prison, and then
Okay.
they didn't know what to do with his body because nobody claimed
And
it.
this guy's like, hey, I need to figure this out. And they're like, well, that solves our problem. And for science. Yeah. Wow.
It was an ordeal.
128
Yeah.
years.
When 1895 is when he died, and 2023 was when they buried him.
So what we do know is that our embalmer got very good at what he did. He was excellent.
Well, yeah. And everybody had an opinion on it, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody was one way or the other. This is terrible. This is great.
It is. It does lean towards the the macabre side.
Oh,
of
yeah.
things.
Oh, yeah. It was weird for sure. Berks the bizarre. Like, it's bizarre. I don't know.
But it is cool, bizarre.
Yeah.
It's not like it's. I would not call it gratuitous. It's. He was trying to learn and understand the science behind something new, and it is funny to say pioneering embalmer, but that's what it is.
Well,
and honestly, we need it. I mean, it's
right. Like, we wouldn't have what we have today if it weren't for
Modern
guys
funerals.
like him, kind of
Exactly
figuring
right.
it out. So,
That's exactly right. No, that's right, and it enables people to get closure and say goodbye and all the things. So
Right,
good service all in all. All right, so I'm glad.
hopefully that answered your question.
It was that is, and like we'll provide links to your stuff on
Sure.
that because I think because I want to read it now. So
It's a good one.
it's a good
Trust
one.
me.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, so let's talk about the actual account, right? We talked about this prior to. You do not do any kind of marketing or advertising for your social media account.
No,
It's all
it's all organic.
okay.
I don't do paid ads. I had here and there years ago just to kind of see what difference it would make. But no, I haven't done that in quite a long time.
Okay, so everything just started to kind of take on a life of its own, right? Do you think it helps? It probably helps, right? That you engage in the community, right? Like you don't just post it and leave it.
Right.
You actually engage in the dialogue, right? I mean, you like in the comment section. You're that's
Absolutely. Yeah. If people have questions, I try to answer them as best as I can, or whatever needs to be.
Yeah, and has it developed into a community where like you have regulars, people that are always commenting and interested?
I would say there's definitely regulars, but there seems to be.
Any shout outs you want to make to some of those?
I don't have any shout outs. No, thanks for following and whatever. But
That's right. Larry Boy 216, man. Appreciate you.
yeah,
That's cool. Okay. All right. No, that's great. And I think that's to me key for anybody, whether you're a business owner or not. If you're gonna create content, it's not that you have to. I just think it's helpful and meaningful to engage in the community and get involved in some of that stuff. And as it develops, because you're enriching people's lives, and as you kind of communicate back and forth, like you said, they'll share a photo, and that's awesome. And if you can engage in that, then everybody is I think further enriched, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's beneficial. And I think that's why I think what you're doing is great, because not only are you just posting, but you're actually creating a community around that.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand from like a business aspect, you're a business, you want to, show yourself as a business, but I think sometimes the most successful social accounts are people
Yes.
and who portray themselves as people and have personalities of people and
Yeah.
and engage with other people like people.
I 1,000% agree with you. In fact, in some of my reels, like I want to do hooks around this, right? Hooks. People are like, oh, hooks. That's a marketing. I don't mean hooks like to sell my stuff. I mean a hook that says, look, people need to see you. You like, man, there's so much cold marketing out there. It's no fun. It's just gross. It's ick. But if somebody can, like, if you have something, a unique service or whatever, and you pour yourself into it, man, then you are important, and like people want to see you.
Right.
Let's personalize it.
Oh yeah.
Huge.
It's huge. Absolutely.
So along the way, do you run into challenges specific to what you do? And I guess the challenge that I'd be thinking of, if I were going to guess, right? It seems like maybe there could be challenges in either getting into places or access or dead ends. I don't know. What are some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, I find that the bigger this gets, the easier access I get because you have some recognition and people are like, yeah, come film my historic building.
It does not hurt.
No.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of great. I have almost too much to do. Like people are reaching out to me to come do stuff and I got to kind of navigate that, but yes, there have been challenges. People, I have trespassed for the sake of a good story. I will not deny that. But I try not to. Obviously,
she didn't really. She heard somebody who did, and
yeah,
it's been done. She didn't really trespass. But.
It is.
That's great.
But I would never. I'm obviously a big proponent of you leave things the way you found them. Never.
Oh, you're not a vandal. No, I totally get that.
I would never vandalize anything. Yeah, but people do, and it sucks. But
yeah, that's right. No, I actually think it's cool that you'll kind of go to greater lengths to get the story. I mean, that's kind of a good journalist, and what you kind of have to do, because sometimes in some cases, I'm just going to say it, there's probably nobody to grant access.
Right.
In some of those cases,
right.
They're just nobody knows who they are, where to find them. Even if you wanted to ask, it's kind of like, well, I mean, I could just step over and get this picture.
Right. Ask for forgiveness, not
permission. That's generally how I live my life. No. That's good. All right. So let me see here where we are on the questions. Yeah. How do you think, or how do you want your account to impact Berks County?
I mean, positively, obviously. It's Berks County isn't, and Reading, its story isn't unique in the sense that it was built on an industry. It was an industry town. Economically went up and has been falling since World War II and all the struggle with, poverty and everything that comes with that. So when I, go into Reading and I profile a building that is being redeveloped into, like, for an example, an old mill building on Mill Street,
right.
obviously, is now being redeveloped into apartments. So I kind of went in, the developer gave me permission to go in and take shots, and I made that into a video where I talked about the history over top of it. And I don't know, I think it's just a service to let people know what's here and what's being done with it and what the story behind it is. I
think it's great. I think that is great. It reminds people of kind of a little bit of the roots, right? And it makes things that could otherwise be mundane. It takes them out of the mundane and gives them uniqueness. And I think for me, that's the attraction. It's like, that's not just any old building. Here's what it was.
Right.
I mean, you probably dig because I do. I think this is what makes history cool. And I'm going to say it this way, like physical history, right? Like a building. What makes a building cool is to look at it and realize, man, that was a mill. Like, there were men and women that went to work there.
Yeah, every
and they
day.
went home to their families and dinners, and they talked about the mill, and they were probably like jerk supervisors. There's so much rich history behind that, and it's where people had jobs, and it's just to see what's happened to some of these structures and what their lives. This is what we do. We go into an old building, and we have this phrase. I wonder if you're going to guess what it is. When you're standing in an old room, and what do we say about the walls?
If they could talk.
If the walls could talk.
Yeah.
So I think that to me, that's the allure, is like you are making the walls talk.
Yeah. And I mean, my philosophy really is history is the context for everything. So, I mean,
It is literally true.
well,
That's
we
great.
have all these issues we're facing again
Yeah.
in Reading and the greater area today about how we, rejuvenate the
Right.
community. And, these problems don't exist in a vacuum. They're all, a
Right.
domino effect from things that have happened in the past century.
Yeah.
So to understand, though, where we had been, we can only see the future more clearly if we understand where we have been.
I think that's right. Do you have future plans? Like, let's talk about any upcoming projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, while Berks Nostalgia isn't itself a business, it has led to countless business opportunities for myself
Yeah,
and
I think that's okay. I mean, that's a good thing.
It is a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing, and this isn't necessarily a business thing, but I am on the board of the Foundation for the Reading Pagoda. I don't know when you think of Reading, you think of the pagoda, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like iconic.
Yeah. That's cool.
And the one challenge we're now facing is it needs $10 million worth of repairs to the building itself and to the stone retaining walls that keep the building and parking lot up.
Just a cool 10 mil. No big deal.
No big deal, right? Well, the good news is they already have $3 million
Okay.
in funds in grants, so we need 7. But beyond that, I am basically running the social media web presence for them. My next big project is going to be filming a walkthrough of the pagoda. It's been closed since COVID.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So people
Yeah.
are like, when's it going to open? When's it going to open? Obviously, that's all in limbo because we don't know. Construction's going to tentatively start in October, and it's going to take at least a year. So you can't obviously come to the pagoda right now, but I can bring it to you type of thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to film the pagoda. I'm going to do deep dive into the history and lay it all out for you. Kind of give you an idea of how it got there. First of all, because there's like a a Japanese pagoda on the side of the mountain in Reading, Pennsylvania. It's bizarre.
That is bizarre, but that's Reading for you.
Yeah, well,
that is cool. That is very cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that's my next thing I got to do.
That's okay. All right. Now, what advice would you give to somebody? Because it might not be the history or whatever, but kind of if you're getting into a passion project, right? That's really how this started, I think, obviously for you. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to somebody that's kind of launching into that and starting to get into that? Like things, maybe if you could speak to what you wish you knew when you started.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I would say don't expect immediate results as far as social media. Yeah. Anyway, since that's kind of what we're talking about.
Right.
I plugged away at that for years before really seeing
traction, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Do you have? Can you pinpoint something that kind of led to was there a post that just kind of caught fire and then things went from there, or was it? Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't say there was a specific post. I would say COVID when I started putting just continual effort. It's funny because you scroll past these social media gurus on. And they always have you don't have to post every day. You just have to pay me to tell you whatever. Yes. And I do find that posting consistently helps. Maybe not every day. I mean, I try to post every day, but if I miss a day, no big deal, whatever. Right. But being in the forefront of people's, feeds. That's right. Is helpful because they're seeing you all the time.
So, yeah, on that note, and something that, like I said, when I talk about reels and some of the stuff I want to get into and talk about, I think we probably hit on 2 or 3 things that are, I think, almost the pillars of social media. Make it personal. Mm-hmm. I think posting consistently. And the third thing is that I feel like the gurus really don't talk about, because this is the reality, is value. What you provide is value to people, and it's free content, right? They're not paying you to do it. You're doing it because you love it, but you are providing to them something of value. If it doesn't matter what it is, even the marketing, you've got to be able to provide something to people. You can't just come and say, "Hey, give me your money." Right. I think that it's the consistency. There's a qualitative thing that you've got to provide.
Yeah. If you're posting consistently, bad content. I mean, it's not going to make a difference. But
Yeah, I just heard a guy. I just heard a guy was talking about that very thing. He's like, listen, if you are posting, he said the same almost exactly. If you're posting the same thing, or if you're posting consistently and you're not getting results, the problem isn't social media, it's your content.
yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you've got great content. It doesn't. I think if you have something that you're passionate about, there's always going to be someone like I just always think there's going to be interest if your content's good. Like, not everybody's a historian, but you don't need everybody.
No.
You've got your community,
Right.
and I think that speaks volumes. And you press into that, and you create more content, and you try to up your game, and it's gotten better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Always learning. I mean,
Always
even
learning.
now, I'm still learning things.
That's great.
So.
Now, last question. Over the course of doing this, like it started to really pick up during COVID and all that stuff. As you did this partly because you saw better days, right, for Berks County. Like there was a nostalgic era where things were different, and we're trying to figure out solutions to problems today. And there's a connection, right, between history. You kind of talked about some of that. Well, how has it changed your perspective diving into the history? I mean, how has it made that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you asked this, because it's funny. I obviously created the name Berks Nostalgia. Nostalgia, the word itself insinuates that you have a longing for the past and you think in some sense it was better. Actually becoming more of a historian and learning more of the past, I've kind of gone the opposite way.
Fascinating. Okay.
I think that we are alive today is the best time to be alive for more people than the past ever was. So I don't necessarily view the past through the rose-colored glasses that a lot of people do.
Okay.
And I want to make, obviously, like I live now, I want to make now and for my children, the future, a better place for them, Berks County to be an even better place for them to live. So yes, my goal is to hopefully help to address some of the issues, if not fix them. I mean, I don't have solutions. I'm not,
But maybe not. But I think it speaks volumes to say when you think of Berks nostalgia, as you said, like you can look at the past and say these were some neat places, some cool buildings, or events, or historic eras, and we can tie that into things are. It's a better time to live now, but this is a place worth investing in. I guess that's what I'm trying to get back to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's what you do.
Well, the history is wonderful and it's fascinating.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't necessarily better time to live for the majority of people, it was what brought us to this moment that is and hopefully will continue to be a better place.
That's right.
So we can learn from everything that happened in the past, and we can apply some things that did work, obviously to the future. But
that's right. So maybe you're an upstart business and you're looking for a place to plant your feet. Maybe Berks County is what you need to consider, just because I think there's a lot of there is starting to be more and more positive development in Berks County, and so it's a place where you just want to be like, hey, don't discount us. Like things are starting to happen, and this would be a good time to get in before everyone else does. So
well, that and they're talking about bringing rail service back to Philly.
Oh,
I mean, that
awesome.
would be game changing.
That would be huge.
So
We'll
see.
Hope that happens. Well, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.